How does your portfolio look? Where have you allocated your money in terms of percentages? How much money do you have in real estate versus cash versus index funds?
Oh, I don't even think about the real estate. We have this cabin in Wisconsin on the lake, and then we have a condo in Florida. They're both very modest, so pretty small part of our net worth. I like to buy things from a position of power. My stocks, I'm probably about 80% in VTSAX, Total Stock Market Index Fund, and probably 15% in bonds, a Total Bond Market Index Fund, and then the other 5% in money market fund. I keep some money in the checking account to pay the bills. And to break it down a little further for you, my wife and I both have IRAs. We have a regular IRA and a Roth IRA. So there are 4 IRAs. All 4 of them hold VTSAX. We have taxable accounts, and part of that is VTSAX. Part of it is the bonds.
What is a bond?
A bond is money that you have lent to a company or to the government. So when you buy a bond, you are essentially lending money to a company or a government entity. So they pay you interest. So companies and the government sell bonds of various maturities. So they can be very short, like a money market fund is basically very short-term bonds, like 30 days or less, right? Which makes it the equivalent of cash. But you could buy a certificate of deposit as a kind of a bond. So you could buy one of those for 3 months or 6 months or a year, 5 years, 10 years. Buy U.S. Treasuries going out 30 years.
Why would I do that instead of buying the index fund?
So the index fund is stocks. It's very stocks, as we talked about, big growth engine, great long-term, very volatile. So if you want something to smooth the ride, bonds are not very good for long-term growth, but they are not nearly as volatile.
So they're safer?
Short-term, yes, because they're less volatile. Long-term, they tend to lose value to inflation. Stocks, on the other hand, are riskier short-term because of the volatility, but long-term, they outpace inflation. And so they are safer long-term. So it depends on your time horizon which is safer. But traditionally, people think of bonds as being safer. And really the way you should hear that is less volatile, and stocks being riskier, you should hear that as more volatile.
So is it broadly true to say that if we exclude your real estate, 70% of your assets are in stocks, 20% in bonds, and 5% in cash?
Probably more 80, 15, 5.
So 80% stocks,
Probably,
15 bonds,
15,
5 cash.
5,
Okay.
yeah.
It's interesting because...
which would be considered very, very aggressive. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for most people my age.
I thought it would be curious, because we now have this new alien amongst us called AI. I thought it would be curious if I went on ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT the question, I'm a normal person who earns $50,000 a year. I want to be financially free in the future. Give me a 1-sentence answer based on all of the wisdom in the world taken from every expert in investing ever.
Boy, I know what the right answer is. I don't know what the answer.
What do you think it's going to say?
Read The Simple Path to Wealth. I don't think that's what it's going to say, but that's the right answer.
And the Simple Path of Wealth talks about 3 principles, right?
Right.
What are those 3? I'm going to check it against what it says.
Avoid debt.
Yeah.
Live on less than you earn. Invest the surplus.
It said, focus on saving and consistently invest in low-cost, broad-based index funds like the S&P 500 while living below your means and allowing compounding to work over time. I then asked it another question. How do I earn more?
I should sue them for mining my book.
Yeah, they probably did. I said, how do I earn more? What do you think? If your daughter came to you and said,
earn more in a job, or?
I just asked a very broad question, which is, now how do I earn more was my question.
I would say develop your skills.
Okay.
Yeah.
It said to earn more, focus on developing high demand skills.
Oh, there you go.
Seek opportunities for career advancement, explore side hustles, or invest in assets that generate passive income like real estate or dividends. But I really think that, there's a really important part there about developing high demand skills.
What are those going to be in the future?
Yeah.
With AI? Because programming, for instance, used to be a very high demand skill, and people said, learn how to program.
Yeah.
From what I understand, in the age of AI, that's not so much.
I even think about my own life. At 18 years old, I started learning about social media. I dropped out of university doing my business management degree after one lecture, and I started learning about social media because I was building a business in social media and technology. And although that first business failed, I was 19 years old in 2014 or something, really understood this thing called social media, which led me to spend a year as a consultant flying around the world to all these companies, doing social media. One of those companies turned around and said, "It's been so great. Could you turn this into a company?" I said, "No, I've been through the founder PTSD of starting a startup. I don't want to do it." 3 months later, I said yes, turned it into a company called Social Chain, and that changed my entire life.
That worked out well.
High demand skill. Even though I'd failed, I had this high demand skill that was honestly at the time paying me £70,000 a month.
You probably had it because you went through the process of failing.
Yes.
Failure is, it used to be in some cultures that if you failed once, that was it. You were a pariah. Nobody would even look at you anymore. Failure in our culture is just a stepping stone. I've heard venture capitalists say they won't even look at an entrepreneur to fund if they haven't failed at least
100%.
once.
The advice I'd now give to my kids based on that is I would ask, if my kids came to me and said, "Dad, what should I go learn?" I would say, go and work for a startup. I said startup because you're going to be very close to the CEO and founder because there's going to be less desks. So you're going to be closer to the proximity that is failing at the cutting edge. So if it's AI, I'd say go work for an AI startup. I probably not going to work out. You're probably going to be, the company will be bust in a couple of months' time, but you're going to be so close to the failure.
You will learn so much.
Yes.
I wish somebody had given me that advice.
And that's like, in a way, I guess, a roundabout way, what I did is I started a company that failed at the very forefront of a wave coming into shore, which meant that as I hit, as the wave crashed down and I was left there on my surfboard, I now had this high demand set of skills that people were like begging me for, which set myself up. And frankly, the Diary of a CEO would not be successful had I not spent the previous 10 years understanding how social media, content creation, growth worked.